Hi, I'm Ceri, I'm an ambassador for Nacoa, and today I'm going to talk to Lizzie about a little project we're doing to mark 20 years since I lost Mum. So Lizzie, can you introduce yourself first?
Hello, my name's Lizzie, I'm 31 and I'm also a COA.
Okay, so how did we meet? Can you tell that story, please?
Yeah, so I was working in a college as a receptionist and Ceri came in to start a course and I recognised her face and I couldn't figure it out, and then I realised that I'd actually seen Ceri's videos through Nacoa about her mum, and Ceri was actually the reason why I found the charity Nacoa. So when she came into the college, I had to say hi.
That's giving me goosebumps because I remember you were just like, is that you? And I was like, who?
I know.
You know, are you Ceri? And I was like, yeah, why? And it was really weird because I've never come across someone who knew me but I didn't know before.
Yeah.
And then when you said you knew Nacoa, I was like, oh, it's amazing. And we've just kind of kept in touch ever since, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I think we've got quite a lot in common. So I lost my mum and I was 21. How old were you?
So I was 20.
Gosh.
So yeah, 10 years ago for myself, but yeah, 20. So similar age to you as well.
Yeah, just way too young. You're kind of not a child anymore, just becoming an adult. And then everything changes, and actually those early years in your 20s where you're meant to be out having fun and just enjoying yourself, your world's turned upside down. And well, I don't feel like I was ever a child because growing up I became an adult so young, but then when my mum died, I really, well, I don't know what I was just grieving.
In a limbo of the world of
grief. So, so I would say I've had a lot of problems over the years with things like people pleasing and not even understanding my own identity or who I am, just kind of shaping myself to be what other people needed. I've had some negative relationships where people have been awful to me and I've just tried to please them even more.
Yeah, it's learnt behaviours, isn't it? Learnt behaviours that we experience from our mothers, which also at age 20, you know, life hadn't even begun.
No.
Like life really hadn't even begun, and both you and I, we've both got children, and you know, it's hard that we've missed such a, you know, you've done 20 years, you know, it's a lot of time.
I think having children was difficult because it kind of took me back there to what I would have experienced as a child and what my mum must have felt like and our bond. But then also I think finding Nacoa has helped with everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Finding other children of alcoholics that understand in a place where I didn't even know I had needs or that my needs mattered. I thought my whole life revolved around my mum, to realising there's a whole community out there, and the reason that I behave the way I do, there's a reason behind that.
Of course, you know, well, it's also finding the charity, it's amazing because now all I want to do is tell others, like I want to spread it, because I know that as well, if when I was a kid, when I was in secondary school, if I'd known about this charity at that time, I feel like not there would have been a big change, but I would have had the support, you know, I could have had a bit more understanding instead of it being such a taboo subject of you know, a maternal mother drinking, you know.
So did you tell anyone?
No one asked. No one asked.
And were the symptoms of it?
Yeah, mum. She was a heavy drinker. She was a white wine drinker, and we're from an Irish Catholic family, so it's quite a lot of heavy drinking within the family. And mum and dad had quite like a good social group, so they did a lot of partying together. So for a long time, it went quite undetected, and it was only when I got a bit older, you know, 7, around my daughter's age now, was when I started to realise, oh, that's a weird behaviour in the evening, you know, and then it kind of, then you started to realise. But even to this day, some people don't know, they don't ask.
That knew her, they don't know now even that she drank? No.
Yeah.
Gosh, isn't it funny how we never tell anyone? And were you told not to tell people, or did you just know?
I just didn't say anything because it was so unspoken. And also the trauma, I think, my direct family, so like myself, my sister and my dad experienced with my mum, is unlike anything anyone can ever describe. And until you're in that circumstance with a parent who drinks, it was difficult for me to explain anything to anyone because they kind of went, oh, well, mum, yeah, well, my mum drinks a few glasses of wine, or my mum does drink champagne. And you go, yeah, but it's like, it's a little bit more than that. And they say, oh, don't you know? So I just never spoke about it. But
did you ever do the thing where you try and join in a normal conversation as a child, but you say something that's real,
really inappropriate,
and they go, what? And you go, I'm only joking.
I mean, most of my childhood was like just no social cues of like knowing what to say, because I just wasn't brought up. I didn't have that normality which would allow me to like be like normal in those social settings. Do you know what I mean? Because we were just trying to like cover what was going on at home, weren't we?
You couldn't look after yourself, or did you feel different? Did you feel like, compared to your friends, did you think why their lives differently? Could you see that you were different?
Oh yeah, like very clearly, I could tell. And it was always like, I had a few friends' mums who became like my mum. Like they weren't ever my mum, of course, but like I had a specific woman, and she was literally like my mum, and I just loved her to bits, and she looked after me. And I remember when I saw her family together was when I was like, oh, my family setup's not the same. But we just carried on, didn't we? We didn't know any different.
No,
we didn't know any different.
It's only looking back now that I can really see that it just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know, someone should have kept us safe. And did you feel unsafe?
Oh, many times. Many times I felt unsafe. And again, like you said earlier, it has gone on to affect how I am as a person today. You know, there's still certain noises I hear. You know, I don't know if you have the same things, but the sound of a door, my mum's bedroom door, was always like the trigger, and like certain things like that, you know.
You're right back there.
Yeah,
it's like you're back in the moment.
You're back in the moment, and you know, and as much as you don't want it to affect you of how we are now as adults and as parents and mothers and friends, my mum's alcohol. Can you say alcoholism?
You can say whatever you want here.
No.
Yeah, say it.
Yeah, no.
Call it what you like. It's your name to own.
Yeah. So my mum's drinking habits, alcoholism, actually it has caused more of an impact than it ever could. You know, than anyone could ever understand. And then that's again the beauty of Nacoa, is that I remember reading the poetry, and I remember seeing some videos and reading stuff, and I remember my jaw hitting the floor, because I genuinely thought I was the only like me and my sister were the only people in the world. And then when I found it, I just remember thinking, oh, there's another woman who knows about their mum, who you know, who can relate. And I just, that's such the importance of that, of Nacoa in that sense, you know.
It's so sad to think that we were all going through it on our own, and we all thought we were completely on our own.
Yeah.
And if we'd known, so Lizzie worked on a book with me called Find Your Oasis, which was poetry and art, and we did an exhibition on the seafront. And then we put it all in a book, and it's now in libraries and books in Brighton. Libraries and schools in Brighton.
Yeah.
So we worked on that together, and then we held an event, didn't we, online?
Yeah.
And shared all the poetry. And Lizzie cried all the way through and didn't know she was on camera, which was quite funny, but really sad to see. But you were just in the moment.
I was embracing it. I was in it. I was listening. I was feeling it, you know, but I was on Zoom, and I didn't realise I was on Zoom.
But the event was exactly the same. Everyone cried all the way through, and I felt awful that I made people cry, but they all said it was such a relief to be around a tribe of people that got it, because nobody else in the world gets it.
No.
And it's really important to find people that understand us and to help us understand ourselves. I don't feel safe in the world a lot of the time still. That is one of the things that I struggle with. I don't always feel like my children would feel safe with me, because I relate how I felt with my mum. Do you find that parallel with your parenting sometimes?
Yes.
Like, how does my child feel? Do they feel like I felt? No, they aren't traumatised.
Yes.
But I still get that feeling.
Yes, I know. And we get mum guilt, and then you overcompensate, but then you have to kind of check yourself and step back and go, well, actually, she's 8. She's never seen me drunk.
Yeah. Completely different.
Different. Like, I don't have that guilt, you know, and I know, but that's again, we either go one way or the other. But the beauty is in finding people like similar to yourself who,
you don't need anyone to to make it better.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone to take the pain away. You just need someone to sit with you in the pain and go, I feel that pain too, and it's okay. Do you know what? I'm never going to get over it. I'm never going to stop missing my mum, and she should still be here. And I miss those years that have gone already. I miss that she wasn't there for my wedding and to see the children. But I miss the mum that she should have been. So I miss that she was never that mum that took me shopping. You know, I waited for that day that she would finally say we're going shopping together. And every time I'm going through a bad patch or I'm feeling a bit sensitive and I see a mum and daughter out shopping, oh God, it hits me. But I also miss the fact that, you know, there's no future either. There's like all these different directions that I miss, and I still feel angry with her. And I still feel like, why didn't you keep me safe? Why didn't you protect me? And why didn't you stop drinking, knowing that I will be on my own now? And all these things exist together, and that's okay. And being okay with that and going, this is forever, and I don't mind. I'm okay. I'm really happy with where I am in my life, and I'm really, and I can't imagine not being a COA now. Like, what would I be if I didn't have my children? What would I be doing? Would I be working in an office?
I have no idea what type of person I'd be, but definitely not the person I am now.
But do you not feel like you don't settle for less now? Like, it has to be something you love. You have to do what you love. You have to surround yourself with people you love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or what's the point?
Well, literally. But again, it's, you know, touching on the subject of like the trauma and the effects. I've really struggled throughout my life with relationships, and I found myself, which I guess is very stereotypical, is finding myself in a relationship which is on levels having a what's the word, not abusive, but like my relationships have always been quite tempestuous. I don't know, I can't explain the word. What's the word?
What does it feel like? What's it giving you? What do the relationships give you?
They're the abuser again, and I'm the one who's trying to like
make them feel better. So can become quite codependent.
Codependent. There you go. Every relationship I've been in is that I have lowered myself and my self-worth and everything that I have to put that person ultimate priority, everything, you know, and that again is from the trauma from my mum. Is you know, they could do horrendous things to you, say the worst things to you in the world, and then the next day she'd take me shopping and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then I'd forget about it, and then that's how I learned to be programmed to be in a relationship. Is, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they say these horrible things to me because, you know, they might buy me dinner tomorrow.
And maybe and for me it was like almost like, well, this fits in with what I believe is what I deserve. I deserve to be treated like this.
Absolutely.
But then with a lot of work and therapy and finding others, you go, oh no, that's it. That's not what I deserve.
No, absolutely.
And making those changes and this shock of other people seeing you behave differently is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because the people who really care about you. If people don't like your boundaries, then that's their problem. Don't change the boundaries. But boundaries are really hard. And when people go, just get a boundary. No, boundaries are really hard to keep with people who don't want you to have them. Yeah,
and especially growing up with zero boundaries. I had no rules as a child. There was no rules. I was, we were left to just get on with it. You know, I was never really told off. There was never like any discipline, but that's because my mum was so consumed in her drinking. And it wasn't anything to do with that I was free or I was a good kid or It was just because my mum could not put her energy into parenting me because she'd prioritise the drinking.
And you couldn't actually have boundaries with her either.
No,
you couldn't stop her behaving the way she was having.
I was a child, and then, you know, in certain dynamics, like I became a bit of like the mummy's little girl. So then I'd defend, you know how it is. I'd defend her and I'd try and cover her and support her, and then in the long run, for what, you know?
But no matter what they do, it's our mum.
So
there's always a bond there, isn't there?
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know about your mum, but for my mum, when she wasn't drinking, she was amazing. So it's not like I can say she was a horrible person. People have narcissistic parents and they're glad they're gone in a way. But I know that my mum had so much potential without the drinking. And that's the kind of parent I want to be, aside from her drinking.
Well, this is it. When you know, when she passed, even still to this day, people go, "Oh God, you're like your mum." There's certain characteristics which we have, which are really similar, because she was hilarious. Like, she had such a good sense of humour, and when she was well,
Yeah.
she dressed immaculately, you know, her nails were perfect, her hair, and then, you know, over time you could see that that's what the main like giveaway was, that you could see the deterioration in her appearance. But when she was great, music, like we used to sing in the evenings. Like that's where I got my love for music. It's like my mum. And but yeah, and then it used to, you know how it goes, and then it would break your heart because you'd go, oh, she's gone. Yeah. Oh, we've lost her for the evening.
And it's not even the same person in the room.
No, it's almost something takes over, demonic or whatever else. You know, everyone's got different experiences with how the alcohol made their parent. So you know, it's a whole mixture of feelings, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah.
But talking of your love of music, can we also talk about your other love? Yes. So what do you do all day, every day?
Okay, so I grow British flowers. So I was in a job in education for 4 years, and just really started to struggle. Being within that work environment, and I needed to find, and I was also in quite a bad relationship, again just like trauma bonded to so much stuff, and I had to get out and I had to find something. So I started growing flowers, and ever since, I mean, I haven't looked back. And
cool.
Yeah, it gives.
You love it, don't you?
Oh yeah. I
mean,
mean,
just bring you joy, but it brings everyone joy.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, Lizzie put a picture on of some flowers, and I thought, I think this would be a great fundraiser for Nacoa. So my thought behind it was that the place we start in life is quite different to everyone around us. As we've said, we feel quite different. Other people don't understand us, they don't know where we've come from, and actually what we need is a place to look after ourselves and to get support, and with all that we can still bloom like your flowers. So I saw this image, and you'll see what it is when we release them, but and also Lizzie's quite a different flower grower. She isn't what you'd expect. All her videos have hip-hop music behind. We're quite a lover of all things sort of 90s and retro, and we've got quite similar interests like that. So these images, we're doing 3 prints, all in aid of Nacoa. So when they're out and you're watching this video, if you just go on either of our social media accounts or onto Nacoa's website, you'll see a link to a GoFundMe page where you can buy the prints from. I don't know if you want to say anything about this as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely thing to do. Me and Ceri have said for a while that we wanted to do something together, but we knew it would come, didn't we? We said that we knew it would naturally happen, and we'd come towards an idea, because we've kind of back and forth. And then when you know Ceri came to the idea, I just said straight away yes, because also we were talking about like parents' drinking habits, and we were also saying like about you know how like parents would conceal their drinks, and it was kind of coming from the sense as well of the different types of settings which the flowers are growing in. Is you know it can maybe be seen as something negative or not as good, but it grows into something beautiful. So instead of us remembering the badness of the parents drinking, i.e., you know, the coffee cups and the you know, the concealment in cans of Coke or whatever else they did, we're trying to give it a new lease of life and meaning of instead of us being, you know, saddened by that hiding, we're bringing it out, we're open, we're talking about it, and we're making it something beautiful.
I like that. That's good. We've got lots of meanings behind it, but basically we just love the idea.
But we just want to do it, and we wanted to do something together,
and something fun as well.
And raise some money. Like obviously it's been 20 years for you, and even for me 10 years is a massive milestone. And I don't really do anything, I don't really talk, you know how it is. So again, I'm over the moon to be involved in this, and if we can raise awareness to even one other kid, just anyone, if it does anything, like, it means the world.
It's worth it, isn't it? I just wanted to somehow mark 20 years, because it is a long time. I mean, I had her for 21 years and now she's been gone for 20. And nothing was quite feeling right. I tried to organise a big event and that didn't quite pull off. And I thought, this is just a nice little thing. And yeah, I want to take the time to remember her. So it's 20 years on Saturday, the 8th of July. But on Friday, it will be 20 years since I last saw her. And the last conversation I had with her was that I was starting therapy. And she said, why are you going to therapy? And I said, you know, Mum, everything that's going on. And she said, what's going on?
What do you mean? Yeah.
And I said, do you know what? And the last words I ever said to her face to face were, fuck you and fuck everyone. And that was the last words I said to her. But that evening I got home and she rang me and she said, I know I'm the problem. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to the doctors tomorrow. I'm going to get some new medication because she was yellow at that time. And we ended on a really good note, and that was the last phone call. And then she died that night.
Yeah, you know.
So that's the day that sticks in my head, was the night before she died, because it was the time when she actually finally admitted that there was a problem. So yeah, Friday you're coming with me. We're going to the beach, aren't we? We're just going to go sit on the beach, a few of my friends, and then we're going to sell these prints. And I just feel really happy that we've marked it in some way then, and I really hope we can raise some money. Yeah. So if anyone watching this could just share the prints, let other people know. If you can buy them, that would be great. But just sharing them and getting the word out there to anyone who's been affected by parental drinking, that COA is a thing and that you matter too. It's not just your parent going through it. You deserve all the support, and the support is there. Nacoa have got a helpline that's national and it's free, confidential. They've got a website full of stories, like you said. There's videos to watch, there's books to read, there's things for all ages, there's message boards. There's so much. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to you for helping me with this.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, we look forward to sharing it all with you. Have you got anything to add?
No.
All finished?
Just support us.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.